Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever and whenever you're joining us from today. Welcome to episode 25 of the Coach's Corner. I'm so excited about that. We just started the Coach's Corner last year, somewhere around this time. So it's really cool to see that we have episode 25 rolling today. Today's topic is going to be a really, really important one for everybody, for people who are looking to purchase the device, for people who are the potential end user of the device. But before we dive in, I want to go ahead and announce that we do have a holiday special happening right now, and it's $500 off. Yeah, woohoo! We love discounts. So it's $500 off your purchase when you call into IrisVision right now for the holiday deal and talk to one of our awesome sales reps. And the phone number is 855-207-6665. And then you just choose the option to talk to a sales rep, and they will go through a whole bunch of different questions with you to make sure that the device is a good fit for you. And with that said, if you're somebody who is looking to purchase the device as a surprise for somebody because you're wanting to give them the gift of sight, which is amazing, there's some tips that we want you to consider before you go ahead and pull the trigger and make that purchase, right, guys?
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Wait, hold on. I'm going to call and order another one for me.
There you go. That's a pretty good discount.
That's a good deal.
It is.
So also, I want to give a shout out to Eugene, the newest member of the IrisVision. Eugene, welcome to Iris.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you.
we're so excited to have you on our team. And for some of you who follow the Coach's Corner, you may remember Eugene from one of the coaches spotlight, the client spotlight, excuse me. So Eugene was on one of our client spotlight episodes for Coach's Corner, and now he's part of the team. So
yes,
welcome.
All right.
Glad to be aboard as a client and as a coach.
Woohoo!
Nice.
Awesome. So again, going back to when you're deciding to purchase an IrisVision for a loved one, it's really important that the loved one actually is knowledgeable about the purchase, because you never know how the person is going to react. Although I understand that we want to give the gift of sight and we think that it's going to be great, and in our mind as the person who's purchasing for the loved one, we're thinking that we're doing something amazing, which it is. A lot of the time, the end user may not be in the space where they're ready to receive something like that, right, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Chelsea, what kind of tips can you give our audience in regard to when they decide to purchase the device, maybe as a surprise?
Sure. So time and time again, we have seen the exact same situation. A person has a mom or a dad who has lost a lot of their sight, and this person really cares about them. They really love their parent, and they think that they're going to surprise them by giving them an IrisVision. And of course they mean well. You know, you don't buy an IrisVision unless it's somebody that you care about. But what ends up happening is that they build up these unrealistic expectations, thinking, yeah, you know, mom or dad doesn't really like technology, but they're going to put it on, they're going to see everything, and they're going to change their mind. Well, we can assure you that rarely happens. You know, technology is really powerful, but it can also be intimidating. A cell phone or a computer can help you connect to people all over the world. It can help you do online shopping. It can do all of these things, but it takes time to learn how to do that with new technology, and it takes motivation and willingness to actually learn it. And so what happens is, if you get somebody an IrisVision and maybe they're happy with their lifestyle, or they just don't really want to bother with new technology, it doesn't matter if they can see your face. It doesn't matter if now they can read the nursing home newsletter. They'll tell you, okay, that's great, but send it back. I don't want it. They don't want to practice.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if you can have this conversation ahead of time, like Meredith said, make sure that this is something that they actually want. It's going to save both you and your loved one a lot of time and frustration.
For sure. And that's, in regard to all kinds of technology, not necessarily just IrisVision, right, James? Because there's all kinds of different technology out there that can be a little challenging to learn. And James, I know that you tend to try all kinds of different technologies out as well. So could you tell us a little bit about how you've gone through the learning process with new technology and maybe things that your clients have told you as well?
Sure. Yeah, I like testing assistive technology. I mean, now is the time to have low vision, let me tell you, with everything coming out. It's intimidating. It's even me 6 years ago, now I keep saying 6, almost 7 years ago, I had 20/20 vision. And then all of a sudden my vision started depleting, get testing, and finally got an answer that I have cone dystrophy. I went through, like everybody else, those 6 to 9 months, maybe a year, depression. How is this happening to me? And then you find out that there is new assistive technology out there. It's not the end of the world. Even without the technology, it's not the end of the world. But hey, you got the technology, you might as well open it up and learn and get some, like IrisVision, get some life back, And of course you have your life, but just independence, enjoy your life more. So like even opening my computer with my last company, I carried around 2 laptops, 2 iPads, my cell phone steadily. And then I was totally like a new person. I was intimidated by it, can't see the screen. So just learning it, your loved ones are probably experiencing that. Of course, out of bottom, nothing but love, you want to buy them something, but it's not like a pair of glasses. You don't just put them on and you can see again. There's a lot of algorithms, technology built into the headset. Doctors and engineers put time to build it, and it's going to take time to learn it. As I have my Fusion program on my computer, I was intimidated by that. Like, am I going to be, it's like learning Word or Excel, all put one over again, learning the shortcuts. But it's nothing that can't be overcome. It's very intimidating looking at new technology. But once they learn it, have the talk with them for sure. Have the talk with them and let them know our coaches are going to help you step by step, go at your pace, give them a little heads up and go from there. That way they don't have the shock. Oh no, it's not going to work. You don't have to be computer literate. I have a lot of clients from the very first time they're with their sighted loved one, like, I don't even know how to use a computer. Well, the good thing is you don't have to. You're going to use 2 buttons for 2 weeks. You got to know 2 buttons. We're going to coach you through the modes. There's nothing, you don't have to be able to use a computer. You just have to be able to press the buttons, use the touchpad and the mode button. Then we'll gradually take you into the next button. Before you know it, after the 3rd week, you're using the device and getting some enjoyment out of life. So it's very intimidating to low vision, as Eugene, Myrna, Chelsea has experience with dealing with the clients, hearing what they say. It can be very intimidating. So definitely have that talk with them before you buy it. But if you guys want to buy one, send it to me. I won't send it back. I'll keep it.
Oh, yes, it's very true. And just to give everybody out there some clarity on what Fusion is a program that works with your computer, and it's a screen reader and it's a magnifier. So it's a software program, right, James? That works.
It's a little bit of JAWS. JAWS is for totally blind. It's all speech with JAWS. Okay, you're controlling the computer. Like half the totally blind culture, they don't even have their monitors on. It's
right.
Kind of weird to see that, but they don't need it. And they're faster than anybody with a mouse that I have. A sighted person that uses a mouse, they're so much faster because they're doing all shortcuts. So that's JAWS. And then Zoom Tech is able to zoom and change contrast colors, on the computer. So you get it with Fusion, you get JAWS and Zoom Tech combined. And there's a lot of native software out there too. Windows has accessibility, Mac, but that's what Fusion is. As soon as this, or I get a new computer, I'll probably just go with native because there's so much accessibility built in with it.
Right, it's nice. That's what I use. And Eugene, you're a little newer to sight loss, right?
Correct.
How long ago did you lose your sight?
9 years ago.
Okay.
And it was very gradual. So it was a process starting about 9 years ago, up until about the same timeline as James. 6 years ago, I was at the status I'm at now. And, researching and searching for the proper device that would help me is one piece of advice I would give anybody, like the conversation with the loved one to say, hey, what do you think about technology? Because before IrisVision and before my vision loss 6 years ago to that level, I was technology resistant. The closest thing I got to was TalkBack on my phone. So, and TalkBack it can be intimidating to people who are sighted because it kind of takes over your phone, but it's like a touchscreen application that allows you to hear what's on your phone as opposed to having to see it. But before my complete vision loss to the level that I'm at now, I was technology resistant, and you couldn't approach me with a piece of technology and talk to me about it because, as James and everyone else said, it was kind of intimidating to me. And I was at a point where I wasn't sure where I want to go with my sight loss, with my next step of rehabilitation, let's say. And it came to a point where I said, hey, let's give it a try to my family and loved ones. And I ended up here. So, but you do have to have that conversation with your loved one about where they are psychologically, where they are physically, mentally, and emotionally with moving forward with their rehabilitation and which direction they want to go in. But as James said, it can be intimidating, but I found that IrisVision really helped me, and it brought a lot of joy and independence to my life. So I would highly recommend it.
Yes, absolutely. IrisVision is definitely a life changer for those of us who use it and are familiar with it. But again, just reiterating what everybody here is saying today, and just what the message, the intention of the messages for this particular episode is to please make sure you consult with your loved one before you purchase the device, because it's so important. Not like Eugene said, mentally, emotionally, even physically, sometimes you need to make sure that your loved one is prepared for technology in general, whether it's IrisVision or Fusion, like James was talking about, or even as simple as using the assistive technology on the cell phone, as Eugene mentioned. It's important to have that conversation with your loved one. Sometimes, yeah, for sure, it can be something that they don't want, as Chelsea mentioned. A lot of the time, people are happy with where they're at in regard to their sight loss and where they're currently at in life. So they may just be happy where they're at. And also we've found that sometimes the loved one that is surprised doesn't want their son, daughter, husband, wife, friend, whoever, to spend the money on them either. So a lot of the time it may not be an emotional thing or a mental thing or physical thing. It may be because they just don't feel comfortable with you spending the money on them either. And that's going to make them resistant to wanting to go through the learning process of how to use any kind of technology. So it's important to make sure you have that conversation. Anything else you guys want to add? Any other comments? Because
it's so nice that you do. It's so nice to buy something. I had a client tell me for his wife, he would spend $100,000 on any device if it would help her. So we understand it's all coming from love, but it's very important to just have the talk, kind of break that initial shock, ease them into it, let them know, hey, I might be getting you this, or what do you think about it? Or you don't even have to say, I might be getting you this, I may be getting this for you, would you be interested? It's going to take some coaching, something like that, break it in.
Yeah, and then there's a whole qualification process that our awesome sales team goes through with each individual person. So yeah, it's a pretty serious purchase here. And Chelsea, I know that you and I, the whole team worked on that qualification process, so we know that it could be a little intense, right?
Yes, but I think that it's really helpful because sometimes people don't know, what are the chances that this is actually going to work? And our sales team can really help you figure that out. And if they don't think it's going to work, they will tell you that. They're not going to sell you a device knowing full well that your loved one is not going to get anything out of it. They're going to help you set those expectations and understand what types of activities you can or cannot do with it. So very important to answer all of those questions truthfully. Don't try to sugarcoat it and say like, oh yeah, mom can still see the TV. But then she's actually like a foot away from the TV, and what she's seeing is color and movement and light, but not actually what's there.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's important to be forthcoming with the information for sure. So, all right, we'll go ahead.
Actually, you got that right, Myrna. You and Chelsea came up with that. It's Christmas time. I don't want the sales team mad at me. I had nothing to do with it. I'm encouraging everybody to buy IrisVision, try it. It's great. It'll help. It really will, though. It brings a lot of life, but have that talk with them.
Yeah, it'd be great to have to call the sales team, find out what questions are qualified, and have that conversation with your loved one and ask them, are they interested in technology, using technology to see more or see again? And ask those qualifying questions.
Very important.
Yeah, that's a great point, Eugene. Ask them, do you even want to try this technology? That's perfect. And then go through the next step from there. So very cool, guys. I hope that everybody out there watching finds this episode helpful, because it's a very important topic. Thank you guys all so much for taking the time to chat today. The coaches are always very busy, so I really appreciate the time that everyone took to be on this call. So just want to close out with the pro tip as usual. We're going to talk about the different colored contrasts. So if you're using IrisVision Live, you're going to have the reading contrast, which is black and white, inverted, which is black background, white letters, green, which is a green background, black letters, and yellow, which is yellow background, black letters. These colored contrasts are all labeled reading, reading inverted, reading green, and reading yellow. But as we all know, coaches, they're not only used for reading, right? So, Eugene, tell us how you use the different colored contrasts.
For the inverted reading, it does help me I have some difficulty seeing black letters on white print. And so the inverted helps me a lot with paper, to see actually what's on a paper, to read my mail and things like that, to see who it's coming from. My favorite is reading yellow, because it helps me see pictures in my computer a lot. I can see where to hit the X's, where to hit the, to close and minimize. That helps a lot with that. And reading green helps me see signs a lot better, signs with words on them or numbers on them. It helps me to see the signs a lot better, especially with white backgrounds.
Very cool. James, how do you use the colored contrasts?
I use them quite a bit. Well, you saw in one of the episodes of Grilling with James, sometimes when I'm trimming meat, I use a little bit of inversion. Really makes the fat stick out that I want to trim off. That's one way. And I was watching a football game one time, and I couldn't see the scores too good. I could see the picture good in television mode, but not the scores. I got a little frustrated, so started going through the modes, because we always encourage you to try different modes for different situations, right? And I happened to get to reading yellow, and the scores popped out. And I was like, wow, I can see. So I started going from television to reading yellow so I could see the scores in the time. Did a little research on it, and I found out that the scores aren't always projected in what the picture's projected at, So if you got 1080p, the scores might be projected in a lower quality, and that's why reading yellow made it popped out. So I use it in that way too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. And Chelsea, how do you advise your clients to use the different colored contrasts, or what kind of different activities or tasks have you heard of from your clients as in regard to how they use the colored contrasts?
So it's called reading green and reading yellow, but I would say only half the time do people actually use those for reading? The other half the time, they use them for all sorts of other things. So it's great for you to experiment. Reading green is fantastic for low light situations. I talked to one guy who lets his dog outside in the yard at night, and reading green would help him see what the dog was doing, where the dog was at, that kind of thing. And my favorite activity for reading yellow is looking at old family photo albums. It makes everything pop once it has started to fade. So, you know, family photo albums, historical documents, faded book covers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but definitely experiment, because what works best for one person's eyes is totally different than the next person. You know, a lot of people love green and yellow. Some people hate it. Just try it out on different activities to figure out what's going to work best for your condition in that activity.
Always. I was reading a magazine, Smithsonian Institute, and those are the hardest to read, right? Magazines, you got to be able to angle them because of the reflection. But I was into the pyramids. They had an article about the pyramids. And so I'm almost done with the article, and I turned the page and it's printed on the pyramids. So the color of the ink and the pyramids, I was like, I got to finish this. You know, there was still like a quarter of the page, and it was getting into, you know, the different sarcophagus they found and, you know, how they dated back. I was like, I'm really interested. So I always, you know, I did what we always advise. So I went through the different modes and I got to reading green, and bam, the contrast made the letters pop out. And I was like, there we go. I found a use for green. All right.
There you go. I know for me, I like Eugene, I really like the reading inverted. I love that mode because of the black background, white letters. And it's great for maybe looking at my computer. If I just want to look at something real quick, I don't want to mess with the, you know, key commands to invert my screen. I could just use my IrisVision real quick. Also for looking at just my counters or, you know, dust, it helps bring up that contrast of, okay, where do I need to clean better or anything like that. So the different colored contrasts are really cool. I've had clients actually want to use reading green for sewing because it was a better contrast for this particular client. She was able to see the needle and thread easier. We had someone who organized their entire toolbox in reading green because it was a better contrast of the nuts and bolts and screws and stuff. Even had someone use the reading mode to watch a black and white movie. So all these modes come in handy in lots of different ways. Just because they're labeled reading doesn't mean they're only used for reading, guys. For those of you out there who use IrisVision, if you use IrisVision Inspire, you do have reading and reading inverted. More colored contrasts are to come, so stay tuned. But very important to explore the different modes, as all the coaches are advising here. Try them out in lots of different ways to see what works best for you, because as Chelsea said, just because something works for one person doesn't mean it works for everybody. So try it out, work with it, explore with it, experiment with it, look at all kinds of different things, have an open mind when it comes to the different colored contrasts. All right, just to wrap up, we're going to mention that holiday special one more time. It's $500 off of your purchase. Woo! Yep, and Chelsea, can you tell us where we can get in touch with the sales rep?
Yes, give us a call at 855-207-6665 and hit the number for sales. Our awesome salespeople are ready to talk with you, answer all of your questions, and yeah, hopefully we'll be coaching you soon.
Yes, and James, where can people find information on what's our website?
IrisVision.com.
Click up to move to new notification from Microsoft Edge. Salesforce. Still there? We're about to walk about.
That's the new coach. That's the new coach.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Again,
I appreciate your time, and thanks everybody out there who's watching Coach's Corner with us. So look forward to the next one. See you guys next time. Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.